Commit, and we have liftoff at 2:13.
Exactly 50 years ago today, NASA launched the Apollo 13 mission into space. It was supposed to be the third mission to land humans on the moon. But 2 days after launch, an explosion in the spacecraft's oxygen system put the three-man crew in mortal danger. Thanks to their quick thinking and the ingenuity of NASA's scientists, the astronauts returned to Earth safely. An investigation was launched immediately after. One member of the panel looking at what went wrong was Neil Armstrong, the first man to set foot on the moon. Armstrong spent most of his life after his moonwalk shunning attention, but he still took the time to respond to some of the tens of thousands of letters he received in the years afterward. Some of those interactions are compiled in a new book, Dear Neil Armstrong, and they reveal a lot about Armstrong and ourselves.
One thing that's really great about these letters is that you never really know what you're going to find.
Jim Hansen is Neil Armstrong's official biographer. He wrote the book First Man.
We need to fail down here so we don't fail up there.
And consulted on the movie that followed.
And if he had stayed a test pilot, he would have continued to contribute and achieve.
Hansen's latest project, going through a vast treasure trove of letters. The new book he put together, Dear Neil Armstrong, was released this past fall. Before that happened, we got an early look at the source material. It's kept at Purdue, alma mater of more astronauts than any university, including Armstrong. This storage room is not open to the public. Tracy Grimm is the curator. How many correspondents are we talking about here?
There's at least 70,000 pieces of paper in just the fan mail section alone. The rest of this, 450-some boxes, are the rest of Neil's life, really. He's in these boxes, he really is. Oh, this is a cute one.
Working with Grimm, Hansen separated the letters into categories, but there is one prevailing theme. Most of these letters are not people giving him something, it's them asking him for something.
Yeah, they ask him for everything. I mean, autographs, pictures. You know, there's one woman in Italy asks for one of his socks. Really, it's kind of like holding up a mirror to ourselves, to our culture. Here he had become this global icon, stepping onto another world, first person to do that. Some people thought he was like a demigod, that he had insights into the universe that nobody else had, and they wanted him to share those secrets, you know.
Never one to overstate his accomplishment or claim more knowledge than he had, Armstrong didn't always respond. But sometimes he did, like when an environmentalist from Philadelphia accused him of polluting the solar system. So this is someone writing saying they're upset that they left things behind on the moon.
Mr. Nickerson here is concerned about environmental degradation and trash.
Armstrong sent a long letter back.
And as you can see from the second paragraph, NASA has taken all reasonable precautions to avoid disrupting the natural environment of the moon.
There's a merchant in Turkey who Armstrong paid for souvenirs in 1970. This is a guy living in Turkey who sold Neil Armstrong something when he was there visiting, didn't want to cash the check because it was from Neil Armstrong, but then wrote Neil Armstrong to say, can you send me another check?
So what Neil did is he sent a duplicate check, and he says, keep either one for yourself and cash the other. And enclosed is a photograph which you may find preferable to the check, in which case you may feel free to destroy the second check.
The volume of international letters surprised Hansen, specifically the many complimentary letters from our Cold War nemesis. And one of the first chapters you deal with is letters from Soviets, from Russians.
Yeah.
Who were congratulating him.
That's right. One reason I wanted to do that chapter is that there was kind of this idea that the Soviets paid no attention to Apollo 11 and didn't believe it, some of them didn't, or that there was no news of Apollo 11's moon landing for Soviet citizens to even know about. But in the Armstrong correspondence, you see a lot of letters from not just Soviet citizens, but from the Eastern Bloc countries. And they were all, none of them were nasty.
There are also many letters from kids, some sweet, like this dinner invitation from a young girl, some heartbreaking, including a 14-year-old looking for an autograph. His mother attached a separate letter telling Armstrong the boy didn't know it, but was terminally ill. Armstrong, whose daughter died of cancer at just 2, wrote back immediately. Douglas wrote you that hearing from you would be the happiest moment of his life. Perhaps it was. Just 2 hours after your letter arrived, he fell sweetly and peacefully asleep.
with the sweetest little smile on his face, not to awaken again on this earth.
Somewhere you have a new little guardian angel who joins me in these sentiments. I'm not sure there's a letter that's more poignant than that one.
Man, that moment still gets me. Michelle, I think it's important to remember.
Get me too.
Right? In these extraordinarily challenging times, we have accomplished extraordinary things before.
Yes, with so little, and it's gumption that got us there, and I do believe gumption will get us there again. That stick-to-itness determination. Neil Armstrong certainly had it. He reached for the stars, no doubt. Thank you, Jeff.